Ilhan Omar says a creepy thing to her supporters. Should we be weary? Before I get to that, the New England Patriots aren't the only Patriots declaring victory. Our Patriot-in-Chief Donald J. Trump has a few of his own to celebrate, so our friends at Noble Gold commissioned a limited run of stunning IRA-compliant President Trump 2020 Freedom Coins in 999 silver and 24-karat gold. Now, if you want to touch down on these, you make sure you go to TrumpCoin2020.com and claim yours now. TrumpCoin2020.com. Kirsten Taylor for the Gateway Pundit reports a video posted this week shows a defiant Representative Ilhan Omar telling a room of supporters not to worry about her, and vowing, quote, "I know that as long as I breathe, that I will continue to make people uncomfortable in the best way possible." The video was posted by Rasha Mubarak, a president of the Young Democrats of Orange County, Florida, and has received over 1 million views so far. Mubarak did not post the context of the video, but its posting comes in the midst of the firestorm surrounding Omar's questioning the loyalty of Jewish American supporters of Israel. A Democrat resolution against anti-Semitism was inspired by Omar. It eventually went to the floor for a vote, and they all voted for it. It was all watered down, however. And, well, here's the clip of Omar saying these remarks.
Rashida sent me a text message. She said, "I know you told me you survived the war and you're tough, but I really just want to come give you a hug." And I don't need a hug, but I truly did survive the war. I'm fine. I am fine. I know what my mission is. I know what my purpose is. I know that as long as I breathe, that I will continue to make people uncomfortable in the best way possible. So you can send me your prayers and whatever support that you see fit. But I don't ever want you to lose sleep about an article you read about me.
Yeah. This woman is causing so much drama in Washington, D.C. right now. And you thought that Crazy Eyes Cortez was a problem. This woman, she is ripping off the veil of the Democrats, showing their true hatred for Israel, and it's becoming a centerpiece of the party. Even the president brought that out this week in his unannounced press briefing. He called the Democrat Party the party of anti-Israel. Now, Omar was praised by a fellow Muslim Congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib, who retweeted that video with this statement here. "I'm so honored to serve with Ilhan, Minnesota, an incredible, courageous woman. Every time I worry about her and the ugly attacks, I remember what she said to me 2 months ago. I survived war, I can survive this." Well, we are certainly hoping, and we are certainly praying, that you are recalled back to your district by your voters, and that you vacate your seat peacefully, so that we can get on with the good work of supporting the agenda of the president and making America great again. Unbelievable. What are your thoughts? Comment below. We'll see you at the next report. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi. Thanks for sticking around. The New England
This is Kevin Walling. The Daily Caller editorial director Vince Colonnese, and Sohrab Ahmari, the op-ed editor of the New York Post. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you. Good evening, Shannon.
Okay, so listen, Congresswoman Omar has been in trouble for these anti-Semitic remarks. It's put the Democrats in disarray this week, but now it sounds like, although she's denying it, that she's been, taking some hits at former President Barack Obama, and obviously he's very beloved among Democrats. In Vanity Fair, they say this: Democrats didn't abandon Omar over her comments about Israel. Her criticism of Barack Obama is another matter. For some, those comments may prove to be more incendiary. Vince?
Can you imagine criticizing President Obama is going to be more incendiary than saying something anti-Semitic in the end for the Democratic Party? I mean, there's something sort of humorous. If this wasn't so crazy, it would be very humorous. Over the last week, the Democratic Party scrambled to completely defend Congresswoman Omar and to basically forgive her sins and sort of repeatedly suggesting that people have dual loyalty to the United States and Israel, that people are hypnotized by Israel, sort of anti-Semitic tropes she keeps trotting out and then asking for forgiveness for. And now she attacks President Obama, and perhaps the worst way possible as a Democrat, by suggesting that, well, he's basically President Trump, but he had a pretty smile and a nice face.
Yeah, there's some backlash tonight. Again, she's backpedaling on that, but she's produced tape. The reporter says he stands by it, and he's got his own tape, and it pretty much sounds like the way that she was quoted. And in context, in the Free Beacon, Matthew Continetti writes this: Democrats are tripping over themselves, making rationalizations, dodging reality, and trying to clean up this anti-Semitic mess. Kevin, why is she getting such a pass from so many in the Democrat Party?
Yeah, sure, Shannon. I got to tell you, as a Democrat, I'm so sick and tired of hearing Congresswoman Omar this week because it's such a distraction from, rightly, you pointed out at the outset, the passage of the largest election reform bill today. Some terrifying economic news in terms of our job report. But I got to say, I think you saw a united Democratic Party in that House caucus. Every single member voted to condemn any kind of anti-Semitism in terms of the way they operate in the Hill. I think you're seeing senior leadership pull her aside, that she is not a state representative in Minnesota anymore. She's on the world stage, and that her words need to be taken very much into consideration when she's making them, and to make sure that we are standing completely with our partners in Israel and condemning any kind of hateful speech that this representative is speaking.
And so, Rob, last night, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez said that she and Congresswoman Omar and Tlaib are being targeted as freshman women of color. She said they're getting unfair treatment, and that if you went after every bad thing that a congressman or woman did on the Hill, that everybody in Congress basically would be in trouble. Fair?
I don't think that's fair at all, Shannon. First of all, I just want to note it's remarkable and startling how much Ilhan Omar, frankly, the disdain she has for the country that we should note. It's the country that has given her family and herself refuge. She escaped war-torn Somalia, was a refugee in Kenya for 4 years, and then thanks to a Lutheran church group, was able to ultimately immigrate to the United States. And I, as an immigrant myself, I have to note this constant disdain of her portrayal of the United States and its anti-terror policies under successive administrations, treating it as this sort of murderous country that cages children at the border and drones people, and not any similar criticism, I would say, of the Islamist groups, among them those that have turned Somalia, her homeland, into such a horrible place. Not one word of criticism, as far as I can tell. It's only directed at the country that has given her and her family refuge. It's not a perfect country, but I think it's startling, and it's frankly, it's disgusting.
Well, Kevin, as you said, it has overshadowed something big that happened today with Democrats, which was passing H.R. 1. It's got the number one on the bill because it is their priority, and it's a massive sweep of talking about campaign finance reform and transparency. And I want to tell a little bit about it and then get you each to weigh in. Even the ACLU hates this thing. Here's what they say. That it will have the effect of harming our public discourse by silencing necessary votes that would otherwise speak out, voices that would otherwise speak out about the public issues of the day. They're teaming up with Mitch McConnell. I mean, I don't know how different that you could be. If I can have you each weigh in. I mean, it not only is going to force donors to disclose, but also there are going to be matching funds where taxpayers are going to have to pay for, essentially subsidize a lot of campaigns out there. So, Kevin, to you first.
Yeah, Shane, I mean, the vast majority of Americans in this country want campaign finance reform. They supported McCain-Feingold earlier in the 2000s, and they want to clean up big money that has corrupted and corroded our politics without question. And there's a lot of great things in that bill, including security funds for our states in terms of the way that they carry out of our elections, transparency laws, ensuring that anyone who seeks the highest office in the country should be forced to release their tax returns, as every single president, going back to Nixon, and Spiro Agnew.
Aimed at the current president.
Sure, absolutely. And there's a lot of questions in terms of foreign entanglements and the emolument clause. Shannon, I think the important thing coming out of this is the House passed it and the Senate should at least take it up and debate it, which Mitch McConnell has refused to do.
They will not do. Vince, very quickly, I mean, the states say they should be able to run their own elections.
Yes, they should. And federalizing them is not a good idea in any way. And getting the more that you get the federal government involved, the less it is left to the discretion of the states, as it should be. I think importantly here, exposing donors in public to organizations that aren't doing political activities outright. They're just contributing to conversations about policy. Bad move. There's a reason the NAACP is against it. This dates back to the 50s, for instance. We saw the NAACP versus Alabama. The Alabama wanted to expose all of the
I think I know a little bit about discrimination. I face it every single day. I carry multiple identities that are constantly being discriminated against. I thank the author for thinking about this particular bill. But I am saddened by the particular purpose I believe this bill serves. Some of the members in this room have spoken to and would like to believe that this is a particular bill that is to support the Jewish community. Some would even think that this is a great bill because we are a body that is fighting against discrimination. If those two things were true, there would have been a great support for Representative Hornstein's amendment. I believe that this is the kind of thing we bring forth so that we create more division. We further a narrative that says particular people's concerns, the oppressions that they may feel, the ways that they might see they might want to use their freedoms in order to oppose a government that they might feel is oppressing, is not okay. And they don't have a right to do so. As many of you know, I come from Africa. And I wasn't old enough to know all that was happening in South Africa when the apartheid was prevalent there, when South Africa was an apartheid state. But I remember my grandfather talking to me about the stories of apartheid South Africa and telling me how that conversation shifted because so many people of conscience, so many people who understood that it was obviously immoral for countries to continue to support South Africa, have decided that they were going to engage in boycotts of that government so that that system would go down. And so what we might see today and what we might not agree with, because it is not a popular discourse, might actually be a reality that some people might be living in. And we here in Minnesota, certainly in this body, who are not educated enough to understand the nuances of the people who are living in Israel and Palestine, are going through, should not be having these conversations about what is appropriate and what it isn't. I certainly never advocate for any kind of discrimination. I never will. But what I do advocate for is for all of us to work towards furthering peace in the world. And I do believe that you never get to having peace without justice. That is a fundamental thing that first must happen before we further peace. We know, and I'm certainly saddened by the rise of anti-Semitism. And I have been part of a community that has been raising funds to support the Jewish community in this time of need. Because as my community is struggling with the particular ban that our president wants to put on us, the Jewish community has been side by side, fighting with us, making sure that we have the resources that we need. Because I think there is a particular connection and brotherhood and sisterhood that Muslims and Jews have. One that is fundamentally based in our shared space in history, our shared land, and one that we will never forget. But what governments do and what is based in systems are very different. They truly are. And so I oppose this bill. I would love to have voted for a bill that would have expanded our ideals of fighting against discrimination, in being a body that actually stood up against all discrimination. I don't want to be part of a vote that limits the ability for people to fight towards that justice and peace. Thank you.
The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's all be honest with each other. We are here today, right now, because of anti-Semitic rhetoric from one member of this chamber said again and again and again. We would not be on this floor right now otherwise to discuss this topic. If that member was a Republican, that member's name would be in this resolution, and this resolution would be all about condemning anti-Semitism, and it would be done so forcefully. That member in January had to apologize for talking about a hypnosis of Israel that they have over the entire world. That member had to apologize in February.